Kevin, I'm making you a little yoga video so that your back won't hurt so much anymore, I hope. All right, so I know you like the back stretches, so you can start out on your back. You can leave one knee bent, extend the other leg up towards the sky, and then take your hands behind the thigh and just draw the thigh towards your body. And then also press your thigh against your hands to create a little bit of resistance, and that'll help to open up the back of the leg. And then just holding that for as many breaths as feels comfortable. And then you can also do a happy baby. So grabbing behind the thigh and just pulling the knee over to the side towards the armpit. Stretches the hip a bit differently from your hamstring. Or you can take the hand around the outside of the foot and pull the knee down towards your armpit. So it's a compression on the hip, but it also stretches the back of the leg a little bit, the outer part of the hip. So you can do that. And just take a few breaths there through the nose, in and out. And if anything feels like a sharp pain, then you just stop doing it. You can also do a figure four. So cross your ankle in front of the other knee, take your palm, kind of press it into the thigh. You can stay here if that feels okay on your back, or you can take your hand under the knee and then pull the other knee out and away from you on the right side. And just try to line your knee up in line with the ankle. If that's too extreme, like I said, just leave that foot on the ground and keep the hand onto the thigh. And this is a nice one for the IT band. It's really subtle, but just press your leg. You can leave the knee bent a little bit, but press the foot towards the sky and then keep your hip anchored and just draw your foot over a few inches, only 4 or 5 inches, but keep pressing out through the heel and pulling down through your hip, and you'll feel that whole outer edge of the leg light up. So it's a nice, very subtle stretch for the IT band. And then you can come back to the center, hug the knees into the chest, and just drop both of them over to the side. And take a twist, opening up through the chest. So just breathing from the ribs into the belly, filling up the chest with breath too. So just trying to really take nice, slow, deep breaths, and that kind of resets the spine. So coming back up, and of course doing those on the other side. So taking the hamstring stretch, drawing the leg in, and engaging the heel towards the sky, pulling the hip down towards the ground. And then taking the happy baby stretch, either grabbing the outside of the foot or grabbing under the thigh and drawing that knee towards the armpit. And taking the figure four, crossing the ankle across with a hand on the thigh. Maybe that's a deep enough stretch in the front of the hip. If not, you can interlace the hands around the thigh and try to keep pushing your knee and your ankle away from the torso. And then taking a twist, releasing that pose, bringing both knees into the chest, hugging them in, keeping the knees above the hip line as you twist. So the knees are high up towards the elbow or the armpit, and the hips are obviously below. So it's a nice way to just start to warm up. I forgot the IT band stretch, but you won't, I'm sure. So it's a nice little way to just get into the hips and into the back of the leg. So that IT band stretch, just pressing the hip down and heel out, and that'll light up the whole outside of the leg. And then you can come up onto your hands and knees and take what we call a cat-cow. So this is a really nice one for the spine. So plant your hands, spread your fingers out, hands under your shoulders, knees under your hips, and then let the mid-ribs float down. And then draw the mid-ribs up. So we're making like a Halloween cat and letting your belly drop like a cow. So we're not really dropping the belly, but we're pulling it down. The shoulders stay lifted, the hips stay high, and then we round the spine. So you inhale as the belly draws down, and you exhale as you lift up. And coming back to neutral. You can take a look over your right shoulder, and that'll stretch the left side of the ribs. You can come back to center, look over the left shoulder, and that'll help stretch the right ribs. And then for balance and strengthen the core, you can take that right leg out and then float the left arm forward. And then try to stretch from the center of your spine out to your heel and from the center of your spine out to the fingertips. So this is a nice one to help strengthen the core without anything really aggressive. If you want to work on balance and the core, you can hug the elbow and knee in and then slowly extend them out. And you can do that multiple times. Then we'll try the other side. Take another cat-cow to kind of reset the spine. And then let that left leg float back. Let the right arm float forward, draw your belly up and in. And then you can take your spinal balance with a little ab work. And here's a nice one for the hips. So take the left foot, bring it to the, right foot to the right fingertips, and then just fold. So bend your elbows and fold forward. And maybe your hips are so tight that this is fine. Maybe you walk the foot out a little more to give the hip a little bit more room. But this is a nice one to get into the hip joint. And you take it on both sides and stay as many breaths as feels comfortable for you. When you're more open, you can come down onto the elbows, but that might take a little while to get into that range of motion. So you take it on one side, taking it on the other side, stepping the foot to the outside of the pinky, and then bending the elbows as much as feels good. And breathing into that hip joint. So that's a nice way to stretch the hips. And then to stretch that front psoas muscle, you can take a lunge. So bring your front knee over your front ankle, take that back knee behind the back hip, and then you can take the arms up, or you can leave the arms on the ground, whatever feels better, but just allow the front of that hip flexor to begin to open up. Good, and then you can bring the hands to the floor, walk the hands back a little bit, pull your toes up, press your heel down, and this will stretch the Achilles, it'll stretch the back of the calf, the back of the knee, and the hamstring. So your knee might need to stay bent for this, especially as you're newer to doing this pose. But over time, you can straighten the knee and keep pulling back through the hip and pressing the heel into the ground. And you can sweep that leg back around, decompress the hip a little bit, and then take that on the other side. Knee and ankle line up, back knee behind the hip, and then rise up. And try to stay level, so you can kind of lean into it, but pull the hip back so your hips are still level, and you're reaching the ribs up away from the hips. Then we walk the hands down and back. Press the heel into the ground and begin straightening the knee. So maybe it's really bent to begin with, but keep pressing the heel down and pulling the toes back so that you wake up the Achilles and wake up the calf muscle. And then begin to fold. Walking the hands back in. And then you can try a pose that's really good for the knees and the ankles. So we're going to bring the knees together, separate the feet. So the feet are about the same distance as your hips, and then begin to walk the hands back. And begin to sit some of the weight down. And maybe you can sit all the way down over time. And this is really good for the knees to stretch the front of the feet, and really good for the ankles as well. All right, so you did some side bends, you got some hips, you got some, some hips and some hamstrings. So hopefully that'll help with your back. And then do those, try to do them every day for 10 or 20 minutes, and then let me know how that goes and we can add more. Good luck. Hope you feel better.